Yep.
The red light is on. Yep. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here today. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs. Master Barger.
Here.
Master Tudor.
Here.
Master Dockin.
Present.
Judge Taylor.
Here. At this time, I'm going to invite Magistrate John Tudor to lead us in a word of prayer.
Let us pray, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you this morning and to conduct the county business, Lord. We pray that each item of business that we bring before the court, Lord, will be pleasing to your sight. We pray that we'll make the right decisions on these items, Lord. We pray that you'll be with each one of us here. We pray that you'll be with this county, Lord, as we move forward. We thank you for a new year that we can serve you, Lord. Just be with us in all that we say and we do. We give you thanks in your name and for your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, John. Sheriff, if you will.
If you would please rise, face our flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Thank you, Sheriff. Guys, if y'all had a chance to look over the previous minutes from our December the 17th, 2019 fiscal court meeting, if you approve those minutes, I need a motion and a second, please.
There's a correction that needs to be made in the attendance.
Okay.
Just simply that Steve was ill or absent on the last one.
Okay.
Okay.
Good catch. Thank you, Tom. With that change being made, do I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Tudor.
Yes.
Master Dockin.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Treasurer's report will be at our next fiscal court meeting, which will be on January the 28th, and that'll be in our Madison County Courthouse in Richmond. First on the agenda today is a proclamation. Oh, no. Yep, that is first on the agenda. Proclamation, School Board Recognition Month. Are y'all going to want to say anything, you think? You good? Just read it and give some hugs. And whereas our community values a quality education as a vital step along the pathway to success for our children. Whereas Becky Coyle, Samantha Burford, Beth Brock, Lori Cobb, and Brandon Rutherford contribute greatly to this community through their service on the Madison County Board of Education. And whereas these decision makers are responsible for maintaining strong, effective budget oversight, high standards for employment, and a safe, well-managed set of school facilities. And whereas these board members are serving our community with integrity, honor, and a commitment to our children's futures. And whereas January 2020 marks Kentucky's observation of their contributions through School Board Recognition Month. Now therefore, I, Reagan Taylor, Madison County Judge Executive, by the power vested in me as Madison County Judge Executive and on behalf of the county magistrates, do hereby proclaim and affix that January 2020 be declared as School Board Recognition Month. So, y'all want to come up? Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, sir. Yeah, appreciate your friends. Last year, this year, this year. See you guys. Thanks. And Happy New Year. Yes, sir. All right, that's good. Next, second reading of ordinance 1920. This is snowplow / road trucks. These trucks actually have a dual purpose. It's an ordinance approving the execution and delivery of a lease agreement in the approximate principal amount of $1.2 million, subject to a permitted adjustment increasing or decreasing such principal amount by up to $120,000 for the financing of the cost of municipal snow removal vehicles / road trucks, approving the solicitation of bids for and the award of the lease, providing for the payment and security of the lease, and deposits to a sinking fund, authorizing the execution of various documents related to such lease, and making certain designations regarding such lease. Do I have a motion and a second for the second reading of ordinance 1920, snowplow/road trucks?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Judge, I'd just like to make the public aware that this funding of these snowplows comes from a coal and mineral severance tax. It's a fund that the state supplies each county for the use of their minerals and coals that goes through their county, and this is not coming from anything. We have to use this money for the road department.
Yep, that's right. It's a good point. It's called, that fund of ours is called the LGA fund. So anybody in the community that listens to Glenna when she gives her report, and we do have an LGA fund. The monies that we get from that every year have to be used in the road fund. And so we thought that was a good use of upgrading our dump truck fleet. I think our newest dump truck in the road department is 06. Is that right, Scott? So, you know, our trucks have been sort of falling behind in the past, and we're trying to sort of catch up and replenish some of those. It also talks about in this ordinance that it's a lease. In government, things aren't really called a loan. So this is not what most people would think of like a vehicle lease. It's not that. We actually are purchasing these dump trucks and paying them over a period of time. And so they will be ours once that loan is paid off, just like we would in our regular lives or in our homes. So, any other comments? We have a first and a second.
Good.
No? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thanks, guys. Next is first reading of ordinance 2001, an ordinance relating to the discontinuance of Ralph Park West from the county road system, whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is responsible for the maintenance of Madison County roadways, and whereas a citizen and property owner on Ralph Park West has requested the road be removed from the county road system. And whereas KRS 178.070 outlines the process a county uses for discontinuance of a county roadway. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of the County of Madison, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that Ralph Park West shall be discontinued. I need a motion and a second to approve first reading of ordinance 2001.
So move.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion, guys?
Judge, I'd just like to say that this is a abandoned road that the county, it's still in our system, but we haven't done any maintenance on it in several years. The property owners on all sides have agreed to turn this back over to a private, and just allow the county to pull out any kind of maintenance or ownership of this road and turn it back over to the citizens on both sides. So I don't think this road will ever be used in the county system in the future, so I think this is a good thing.
Right, it is. And just for the community to know, anybody that's watching, this is a first reading. Ordinance has a second reading, which we have to advertise, and there is a process that we have to do to engage the public in case they want to come and speak on behalf of it, opposing it, or being for it. So we will have a second reading at our next meeting. So, any other discussion for first reading of ordinance 2001? All right, seeing none, Clerk Barger, call the roll, please.
Did I miss the motion in a second?
Got a motion, Tom second.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes, Clerk Barger, you did.
I did.
Missed it.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you. Next is Resolution 2001, County Clerk's Budget. A resolution for Madison County Fiscal Court approving the Madison County Clerk's 2020 budget, whereas the Madison County Clerk presented the Fiscal Court with the 2020 budget, whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is required to approve the Madison County Clerk's budget annually. And now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve the Madison County Clerk's 2020 budget. At this time, do I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2001, County Clerk's budget?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Do we have any discussion? Kenny, would you like to say
Yeah,
anything?
the biggest change I'm proud to say in our budget is the increase in revenue from 2019 to 2020. There was a group of, our Clerk Association has started a group of about 10 clerks that try to be at every meeting when the session's in that has something, every committee meeting that has something to do with our office. And we were wildly successful with coattailing onto the e-recording bill and the e-notary bill last year with a modernization of our fees in the recording department. The fees in the recording department hadn't been changed since the mid-'80s. We were way behind, and what it boiled down to was that the office didn't pay for itself. We didn't break even in the recording of deeds and mortgages. We also modernized with the modernized the fees, we made flat fees so that it's not due to how many pages a document contains. It's a flat fee. A deed is a certain charge, a mortgage is a certain charge, up to a certain number of pages, which is going to make us a lot more efficient in the long run too. There's also a $10 per document fee for the storage of the documents, which is the most expensive part of our office because we have to keep that stuff forever. It's not that at some point in time we can purge documents, get rid of things, so we have to continue to have space to store those documents for as long as we continue to exist. I just also want to say that the reason that I'm able to bring these good budgets here that are low in cost and high in revenue is the folks I get to work with every day. I've got a group of coworkers that I'd put up against any, not just government organization, but private organization as far as being driven to do the right thing for the public and do the right thing for the court and our office, and been able to return these fees back to the court at the end of our term.
Thank you, Kenny. Any other comments this time? All right, seeing none.
All right.
Call the roll.
Master Buckin,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, Resolution 2002, Sheriff's Budget. A resolution for the Madison County Fiscal Court approving the Madison County Sheriff's 2020 budget, whereas the Madison County Sheriff presented the Fiscal Court with the 2020 budget, whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is required to approve the Madison County Sheriff's budget annually. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve the Madison County Sheriff's 2020 budget. And before you go, Sheriff, I do want to make sure that the community and the people watching understand that by KRS, we're considered a fee county, which is why we're going through this process. There's only 9, I think, fee counties in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, which puts a county over 70,000 population. And the clerk's budget and the sheriff's budget actually goes to the finance cabinet,
It goes
revenue
to
finance,
local government.
Department of Local Government, and then who actually cuts your all's checks for you?
The
Is that
finance cabinet.
Finance cabinet? Yeah.
All our money, all our surplus money goes to Frankfurt and stays in an account, and that was a precaution they wisely did a few years ago. Otherwise, at the end of the term, I would be able to get my hands on a couple $1 million.
Right.
So it's to control
Yep.
who has access to that money.
So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that is something that's different from one county to another across the Commonwealth. So, Sheriff.
Well,
Oh, did I get a motion a second? Sorry, Sheriff. Did I get a motion second on Sheriff's budget?
Nope.
Can I get a motion a second so we can start discussion?
I move to adopt the sheriff's budget.
Second.
2020.
So we have a motion a second. Sorry, Sheriff. Go ahead.
I just want to tell the public, citizens of Madison County and in this court, this is a few months ago and a few weeks ago, this is definitely not the budget that I would have thought with all of our accomplishments and achievements that we've been able to do, that there have been a little bit more priorities put on the sheriff's office. I don't like this budget. I'm losing 4 deputies. We're not able to replace cars that we need to keep our people safe and that we can get to calls throughout the county. I understand that we have some very difficult times, but when you have to lay off people and our people carry guns and they wear bulletproof vests to go to work, our society is not a very good society right now. You know, I know we don't suit everybody, but this budget coming down from last year's budget to meet this budget, $300,000 has pretty much cut our legs out from under us. I don't know what services we're going to keep providing. Like I said, it's just devastating. I wasn't looking at this for a budget for Madison County when we were one of the top counties in the state of Kentucky, one of the fifth, I think, largest growing counties. We have 446 square miles, 1,169 highway miles, and our crime, you know, we work very hard with the state police, Richmond, Berea, and it just seems like here we are another year and another budget and things that I've addressed before, such as overtime, pay raises for our employees' vehicles. We're still in the same dilemma with this budget crunch and financial situations that's hit our county. I want to read some statistics, and just to let you know that, you know, our detention center has brought a lot of, with the overcrowding, it's brought a whole lot of problems, not only to our financial situation in the county, but our sheriff's department on a daily basis. Just to quickly go over a few statistics for 2019, our sheriff's department opened 745 criminal cases. We served 3,728 court papers, 784 eviction notices, which was actually down from the year before where we had 1,158. EPOs are up, emergency protective orders, 126. Domestic violence calls were up, 346. We have business checks and alarms. They were all up as well. Our DUI arrests were down, and that tells me that Madison County don't have the open bar type situation that we've had through the years. We have Uber, we have taxi cabs, we have road checks. People are finally getting the message that drinking and driving don't work, but you have to have a law enforcement presence to make things like this work. So with this figure here, I think that you can see that our DUI arrests throughout the county, and that's not Richmond or Berea or the state police, but it has decreased. Funeral escorts, special details, accident reports were down. Warrants that we serve were up, and vehicle inspections were up. And like the judge said, we get fees from different services that we provide, and we have to make so much money, and then what our budget is where the court's at. So this in between is what we have to ask assistance from the court. And I must say that this court has been very gracious through the years. They've been very helpful and very supportive. But the financial difficulties that we're facing now is going to be passed on to our citizens, and it's going to be passed on to our detention center, and it's definitely been passed on to our sheriff's office, just trying to stay up with the everyday stress and strain that this brings on with the inmates being housed other locations instead of being housed here. Now, to try to clarify that a little bit, our sheriff's office is in charge of the court security. We have 7 courts, circuit, 2 judges for circuit court, 2 courts there in circuit court, 3 in district, and 2 in family court. Then we have to also service grand jury, as well as drug court. And we're in charge of the transportation of the prisoners for court purposes. Knowing this, last year, 2019, physically touching, handling, transporting 7,845 inmates to court. Out of county was 1,516 inmates. Out of the 120 counties that make up the sovereign of Kentucky, this great state of ours, our court security people in a 12-month period will visit right around 100 different jail facilities or detention facilities. Instead of our prisoners being housed in Madison County, where you can walk over and get them, we're having to go all over the state to get them and then take them back. That creates a big problem for our sheriff's office when it comes budget time like it is here today. And one other note that I'd like to make on our transports, that some of these we get paid for. We get paid mileage, and we get paid for transporting the prisoner through the state. If they're felons or depending on what it is, but when we deal with juveniles, misdemeanors, traffic warrants, and then when we had the system go in a few years ago called e-warrants, electronic warrants, if there was somebody from Madison County that had received a ticket for a speeding ticket, and it was 6, 7 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, and all the clerks across the state had entered all those, when that person gets stopped in McLaughlin County, it shows up that there's a warrant. So they're arrested, then our people have to go get them, bring them back from Madison County. In 2017 to 2019, our inmate transports rose 20%. And I think Jailer Tussey can understand that. Our inmate transports rose from 2017 to 2019, 20%. A 40% increase on out-of-county transports in 2017 to 2019. This is, we make trips all over across the United States, and we try to also bring in transit people that we pay to have these people brought back if it's not affordable for us to make the trip, but we make a lot of out-of-state trips as well. So basically what we're looking at is labor cost, we're looking at fuel cost, vehicle maintenance. All these items go in just on our court. This budget, like I say, it's another year, it's another budget. Instead of us here today being able to discuss some things that we need, without the funding, we're not going to be able to keep Madison County where we want to keep them, and that's being safe. Our people are very committed, our deputies, our office staff, my command staff. We're very committed to serving the public and protecting the public. But if we don't have the money, some of the entities, as you're going to see today, is going to be the ones that's going to suffer. And I accept this budget. I know what we're going through. And I just hope next year that we can meet some of the financial situations that we have to meet so we can get back doing our jobs in a safe and proper manner. I want to thank the court.
Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate that. One of the things I do want to bring awareness to, and I appreciate you being a colleague and a friend and a teammate to the fiscal court and the services you provide. But one of the things I want to bring awareness to is that a lot of your services, is state mandates those services. And just for the community to understand a lot of times from a budgetary standpoint of what the sheriff even has to go through, and then why we have to supplement so much to the sheriff's office on a yearly basis is for things like this as an example. So the sheriff has to serve papers. Is that correct, Sheriff?
Correct.
You have to serve papers, and you get
Fee from those papers, sir.
sorry, you get paid. Thanks, Chris. You get paid $70. Is that correct?
Yes.
Per paper?
Yes.
To serve?
Yes.
And you have to try to serve that paper 11 times,
Up to 11.
up to 11 times, if you can never catch somebody at home or you can't find that person. Is that correct?
Well, usually the person, most of the people some of those that we deal with, they don't want to be served.
Right.
We can't break into their
So,
house.
so from a financial standpoint, I just want to bring this out, that the sheriff has served that paper, and let's pick Red Lick, for instance, that you have to serve a paper in Red Lick, and that you would have to travel 11 times before you can ever stop truly serving that paper to be able to make $70. So I just want people to understand that is a law. That is not something that we as a fiscal court created. That's not something that the sheriff's office created in their policies and procedures. That is a state law. Another one is court security officers. You only get reimbursed for the hours that those individuals are employed
In court.
in court. And that reimbursement that the AOC sets out is $9 per hour. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so we have full-time people that are in court security, and part-time people.
We had 16 positions, 9 part-time and 7. So now we're down to 9 full-time and 5 part-time.
And those hourly rates are average of probably $10,
Yes.
$11 maybe for some. So with those that are full-time with benefits, we have to provide benefits. I mean, we're losing money per hour based off the AOC's reimbursement, but we don't have a choice whether you provide court security or not, right? That's your constitutional duty as a sheriff, is to provide court security. So there's a lot of rules and regs that are set by the state that you have to follow that ultimately costs money. And from a business mind and a business standpoint, I couldn't imagine in my years of business getting up in the morning and having to go do a job knowing I'm losing money. And so I want to bring that point out because we are having to supplement some of that stuff that is totally unfair. When we talk about unfunded mandates, a lot of times that's what we're talking about. These are mandates that are passed down from the state government to us. It doesn't matter sometimes what the elected official is, whether it's Steve gets passed down mandates, or our coroner, or we as a fiscal court, the sheriff, Kenny. We don't have to choice but to abide by those laws. And so, a lot of times that puts us in those tough situations. So, guys, we've already got a motion, a second. We've had some discussion. Do y'all have anything y'all would like to add, magistrates?
I'd just like to say one thing. There's another aspect to the sheriff losing the people, having to lay off people that doesn't show up other than to just lay somebody off. A lot of people get laid off, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to demean any person's job. However, sheriff, when he loses somebody, to get that person back, he just can't go out and hire somebody and give them a gun and a badge. They have to have certification through DOCJT for that, and it costs a lot of money to send a person through that we have to pay for. And so there's just a whole lot more to it. not to mention just the fact of the safety factor. You know, he mentioned one of the stats that stood out in my mind when he was talking about was the domestics. You know, just by chance, I have been with one of the deputies before when he was going on a domestic call from one side of the county to the other side of the county, just as hard as they could go, you know, hoping that the worst does not happen when you get there. How do you put a price on that? But unfortunately, that's where we're at. And I'm sorry, and I hate to see that, Sheriff, but I can tell you that we, the court, appreciate you working with us.
I do want to add one other thing, because I think it's important for the community to know. You know, the sheriff's main duties were never to really provide that law enforcement presence, be that primary law enforcement. Over the past, I'm going to say 15 years, the state police's trooper numbers have continued to go down, which has made our sheriff's departments, and this is across the Commonwealth of Kentucky, to go up. Fiscal courts were never set out through how we get our funding and how the laws are written for finances. We're never really there to provide that law enforcement funding, because you had state police. I know sheriff's a retired state police officer, served been in this Commonwealth for a long time. More than normal troopers serve, right, Sheriff?
Yes, sir.
But even back in his career, I mean, we had 15, 14 troopers that just worked Madison County for years and years and years and years and years. I know since I've been in office for the past 5 years, we've probably averaged, I'd say, 7 state troopers in Madison County. And if you break that down per shift, that is 1.2 troopers per shift, no vacations, no sick, that just works Madison County. Now, we're a population of almost 50,000 in the county, and we only have 1.2. So part of this uptick in having to increase the sheriff's budget is because he is trying to provide that police force to make sure that our community's safe. I mean, the state police, they don't work third shift. I mean, they have an agreement with our sheriff's department where they don't work third shift. But yet, we haven't done anything to increase our revenues to pay for that service. You know, the state has not given any money down because our sheriffs has picked up where the sort of state police has had to fall back. Again, that's one of those unfunded mandates that's passed down that people don't really realize. We love state police. I mean, one of my best friends is the new captain at Post 7. But it is going noticed by the community. I'm going to tell a little story here. A couple months ago, I get a phone call about 8:30 at night, and a person's coming back from Berea. There's 3, it had rained, there's 3 wrecks on I-75, and our sheriff's department is working those 3 wrecks. And that citizen got off of exit 87 and gets up there, and there's 2 DOT and a state trooper sitting over in the parking lot just talking. And so I think it is getting noticed how the sheriff's department is picking up the slack, and I really believe it's appreciated. But what we've got to have is we got to have the citizenry support as a court to say, hey, this is our new standard as a county, is that we are going to be able to, or citizens want us to be able to help finance the sheriff's department to provide that service. And we as a court need the support that knowing when we increase our revenues that it's okay because it's going to things like these unfunded mandates. And it is telling a story and making sure that the community is aware of the situation that we're in. So kudos to you, Sheriff, for your comments today. I think it's well spoken. I, again, appreciate your friendship and your willingness to work with us.
Could I say one more thing real quick?
Sure.
To try to clarify a couple of issues there. You know, I spoke before about the court. We've been able to come to a part of the road where we have chosen, and we've listened to the citizens of this county, and our drug problem went to a drug epidemic quickly, and that's across the nation. What we chose to do, and me as a sheriff listening to their citizens every time I've ran for this office, drugs has been an issue. They want people caught. They want people incarcerated. They don't want drug traffickers out. I hate a drug trafficker. A person with a drug problem needs help, but that person has to want to try to help themselves too. But saying that, a few years ago, I made a decision that we're going to Madison County Sheriff's Office, as long as I'm sheriff there, we're going to make some changes. And one of those changes is that this court backed me up on, that I have 5 people, 5 deputies, the only thing they do is drug work. You don't see many other police agencies that do that. We have 5 people. We have established the HIDTA Drug Task Force, High Intense Drug Trafficking Area Task Force, that we have 2 deputies that we helped establish in 2015. There's 8 people that work on that task force, 2 from Richmond, 2 from Berea, 2 from our office, and 2 from the state police. HIDTA. The feds help fund that, and we've got that in place. I come to the court 2 or 3 years ago with an idea to hire a young man that was retiring from the state police that we could bring to work, where we pay his salary but don't have to pay his benefits because he's retired. And this guy has worked on the DEA task force centralized in Lexington. The DEA task force has one in Western Kentucky. They have one in London, Kentucky for the east. They have one in Lexington for the central, and one in northern Kentucky. We were asked, the Madison County Sheriff's Office was asked if we would employ this gentleman, which was from here, to be on that DEA task force. And we put him on it. And those guys, if there's, wherever across the state, when they're involved in a case, if there's any seizure or forfeitures, that money comes back to our agency as well, where it's split up. They do an excellent job. Then my chief deputy, Tony Terry, and we decided to have, because we were having so many complaints come in on our tip line, and we were having so many complaints from the general public. I've had complaints come in from this court members about certain drug people, suspected people that we need to take a look at. So we established and put 2 deputies on what we call our street level unit. Now, since then, we have also stepped our efforts up for the crime and the drug problem, because somehow, somewhat, some way, it comes and stems through the drugs. And that's 80 to 85% of what Mr. Tussey has incarcerated there is going to come from our drug issues. But we have taken even more steps, and the public's backing and support. We now have 4 canines that work drugs. When these deputies are out on a shift, Madison County is a lot safer place because we have those 4 canines, which they're in the toolbox to be used when needed. And we have also, the canine person has also, with his own dog, which he's retired state police and a canine handler, that dog is a bomb dog. We have 2 colleges here, Berea College, EKU. Look at the schools we have. That is just a good thought to know that we have a bomb dog that we could use in case some threat come in. So there's a lot to our agency. We are a full-service police agency, not just the sheriff's department. And we take pride in that. And I didn't mean to go over so long, but I just wanted to clarify that.
I got a short comment.
Sure, Roger.
If the stats are true, which we've looked at a lot of them here lately because of the tax issues and everything, we're the 5th or 6th fastest growing county in the state. Our tax rate is 72nd in the state. You can only do with what money you're getting. And right now, we're short on money, and we got sheriff's departments just like everybody else. We got to trim it down. I mean, I hate it. The sheriff knows I hate it. We talked. John and I went down and talked with him. They do a fine job, and we've all said that through the years. They do a good job. But we gotta go feel the burden.
Thank you, Roger. Anything else?
You know, I just want to say this about the sheriff and the sheriff's department. A couple of years ago, I was over in Richmond, and I was right off the exit, and I stopped at a gas station over there. And I'm sitting there getting my gas, and a little car pulls in beside me, and the guy gets out and walks around, washes his window, gets back in the car. Another car pulls up beside him, he hands something out the window. I'm still getting my gas. That one leaves, another one pulls up, some guy gets out, he passes something else out the window. The guy's selling drugs right there in a gas station parking lot. And I called Major Terry over there and asked him if he had a unit anywhere close. And he didn't have a dog unit that could right for that place, but I gave him a description of that car, and they got that individual that same day. And I mean, that's just a credit to them and the willingness that they have to assist us. And they would take that from anyone, not just me. I just happened to be the one that saw it. They'd accept that call from anybody. And what's the price for that? How do you put a price on that?
Yep.
But we appreciate you.
Thanks. Anybody else? We got a motion and a second.
I'll spoke.
You good? All right. Good. Call the roll, please.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Mr. Botkin.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Sheriff. Next, Resolution 2003. This is a memorandum of understanding for the Airport Board. A resolution for the Madison County Fiscal Court approving an interlocal cooperation agreement relating to the Madison County Airport and authorizing the Judge Executive to sign on behalf of the county. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court wishes to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement relating to the construction of a new hangar at the Madison County Airport and the funding of that facility. And whereas the Fiscal Court finds it to be the public interest that the contemplated new hangar be constructed at the airport and that the county participate in funding for that facility in the fashion set forth in the agreement, attached hereto and here incorporated as though here set forth in full. Now therefore be it resolved that the Madison County Fiscal Court does hereby approve the agreement and authorizes the Judge Executive to execute same on behalf of the county. Can I get a motion and a second for Resolution 2003, please?
Motion to approve Resolution 2003, Memorandum of Understanding for the Airport Board.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Guys, I do want to just have a little bit of explanation with this. It's not really complicated. I just want to make sure that, you all, the community, understands what we're doing. This is an interlocal cooperation agreement between really the City of Richmond, the City of Berea, and the Airport Board. The Airport Board actually got a grant for $800,000 to be able to go towards this hangar. I think the total cost of this hangar is $1.3 million, which we are helping them get the loan, all right, of $500,000 for them to make the payment. So there's no financial burden as long as they make the payment, which we have no thoughts that they wouldn't. So we're acting sort of as a co-signer of 33%, basically, of $500,000, along with the City of Richmond and City of Berea. Does that make sense? I'll make sure everybody understands. They had rewarded this grant for a terminal. The terminal's not quite ready to do, and so they went back and asked if that $800,000, so we didn't lose it, could go towards the hangar, and they agreed. And so we're thankful for the grant and the program to bring $800,000 to the county. And a lot of times I think with the airport, people don't always understand its positive effect on the community, but there's a huge positive effect. A lot of times it's indirect. It's where cities and where we can promote growth and jobs and industry. Those type of people are looking for an airport like our Central Kentucky Regional Airport as part of the package for them to come here. And so we're happy. I'm happy to be able to support this. I love the fact that we're not ultimately going to be out any money, so we appreciate that and the board's understanding of our financial position. But ultimately happy that we can that we can support it, the process. So, any comments from the magistrates? Want to make sure everybody understands. Everybody good?
Good.
All right. We have a motion and a second already, so no further comments. Call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bucket?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. So George, I'll sign this after court and try to give it to you. Okay, is that good? Because I think the mayors both have already signed. Next is Resolution 2004. This is a state road transfer. This is Jubilee Lane. Resolution approving road transfer from the Commonwealth of Kentucky to Madison County. Whereas the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet reconstructed a portion of Kentucky Highway 52 between the Garrett County-Madison County line and the intersection of Wallace Mill Road, which is approximately a 1.3 mile distance as part of project numbers FD 52 040 0052, item number 7-201. The Cabinet's plan sheets detailing the constructed project are attached to this resolution. Guys, this is pretty simple. There's a section of the, I'm not going to read this whole resolution. There's a section, Tom's very aware it's in his district, of Old 52, where the Gospel Barn is down there, for those in the community that don't know where that section is, that is acts almost like it's a service lane now to the new 52, that the state has requested us to bring in to our maintenance plan. Willie, Scott, Tom, and I, we went down there and we looked at the roadway and wanted to make sure that it was acceptable to our standards that we have in taking in roadways. There were things that needed to be fixed, so we had asked the state to fix and upgrade some things, and so they have done all those things. We've reviewed it. Willie's recommended it to me and the state for us to take it in for the state. We are going to call this Jubilee Lane. We are not making that really an announcement yet because there's people that live on there. There's some other addressing that we have to do to that area down there that we want to make sure is not confusing to first responders, to 911. And so we're going to be working on that total plan effective July 1 of 2020. So anybody that lives down in that area, don't get worried yet. We did need to go ahead and take this roadway in for the state, and so we want to go ahead and be saying, hey, we're going to call that Jubilee Lane, but we'll make a formal announcement between now and July 1 where it'll be effective and be having those letters out and all that. So if anybody has any questions or concerns, feel free to call me at my office, okay? Is there any questions or comments with that, guys? Tom?
We still need a motion for that.
Did I not get one?
No. So
I'm
motion-
sorry, guys.
Motion to approve Resolution 2004.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
State road transfer to Jubilee Lane, Madison County.
Okay,
Second.
You may proceed.
I may proceed.
Good. So you ready for me to proceed?
Is there any more comments? Anybody got anything to say? Good, all right. Call the roll, please.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you, Kenny Barger, for holding me accountable.
Absolutely.
Yep. Next is Resolution 2005. This is appointment of the Planning Commission member. A resolution for the appointment of Madison County Fiscal Court to the Madison County Planning Commission. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is responsible for the appointment of Madison County Planning Commission members, and whereas a vacancy on the Planning Commission is open, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has found that Bill Buchanan as fit for the position as Planning Commissioner. And now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve Bill Buchanan as Madison County Fiscal Court Planning Commission member. If y'all approve, I need a motion and a second for Resolution 2005 approving Bill Buchanan to be a Planning and Zoning Planning Commission member.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. This is Resolution 2006. This is another appointment to the Planning Commission. A resolution for the appointment of Madison County Fiscal Court to the Madison County Planning Commission. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is responsible for the appointment of Madison County Planning Commission members, and whereas a vacancy on the Planning Commission is open, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has found that Mary Eipert is fit for the position as Planning Commissioner. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve that Mary Eipert as Madison County Fiscal Court Planning Commission member. I need a motion, second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is Resolution 2007. This is renewal of a CSEP planner agreement. Yeah. Come on up, Dustin. Good morning, buddy. Good to see you.
Good.
Yes, so Resolution 2007, resolution approving contract extension for Bullpen Incorporated for CSEP planning services. Whereas Madison County CSEP program requires emergency plans and procedures to be written and updated to support the CSEP mission. Additionally, at times, new mandates require new plans and procedures. Whereas Madison County CSEP program has contracted in the past with Bullpen Incorporated for planning services and are satisfied with the product Bullpen Incorporated provides, and whereas the Madison County CSEP program wishes to renew their contract with Bullpen Incorporated for the CSEP planner services with the same terms for 1 year, which is attached hereunto this resolution, and now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court that this resolution is hereby approved and that the county judge executive is hereby authorized to execute the same on behalf of the fiscal court.
Thank you, Dustin. Guys, if you all approve Resolution 2007, the renewal of a CSEP planner agreement, I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Is there any questions for Dustin? All right, seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Thank
Thanks,
you all.
Dustin. Appreciate it. Chief? Good, buddy. Come on up. Next on the agenda is personnel. It's promotions in the fire department.
First one I'm gonna bring up today will be James Andre.
He'll go from a firefighter 2 to a firefighter 3.
Did you go through that again and get it on the mic? Sorry.
The first one I've got today that I want to bring up is James Andre. He'll go from firefighter 2 to firefighter 3. His salary will go from $8.15 to $8.50 an hour, effective on 1/8 of 2020. He's received his IFSAC 1 and 2 hazmat ops and awareness, so that makes him eligible for the next level. Jimmy's with us, sir.
All right. Thanks, Chief. Guys, if you all approve Chief's recommendation for the promotion of James Andre, I need a motion and a second, please.
I moved for the promotion of James Andre for the fire department.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
The second one I have will also be a promotion from a firefighter 2 to a firefighter 3. Be Matthew Frost. Matthew's with us today also. He'll go from $8 to $8.50, effective 1/8 of 2020.
Motion to approve Matthew Frost for a promotion from firefighter 2 to firefighter 3 at $8.50 an hour, increase in salary effective 1/8/20.
Thanks, Tom.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Thanks, John. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Chief?
All right, the final one I have will be Ethan Jones. Ethan's with us today also. He goes from a firefighter 3 to a firefighter 4. Goes from $8.50 an hour to $9.50, effective 1/8 of 2020. And what this is, Ethan has just completed his IFSAC instructor. He's an instructor now anywhere in the United States. He's notified that recognizes the IFSAC certification. So he's one of the guys that'll be teaching or help teacher guys in our department now.
Good. Thanks, Chief. If y'all approve the recommendation by Chief for Alan Ethan Jones, I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Chief, I just want to commend you there. Over the last several months, you've had several of your individuals that have come up here for promotions. And I just want to commend you for running a department out there where you're progressing. They're not sitting out there stagnant. Every single person that come in here is eager to progress in their career. And we appreciate you taking
Thank you.
the time to add that training for them.
Good comments, Tom.
Thank you.
I agree 100%. You know, we're what you would call a young fire department.
Yeah, we're extremely young.
But we've got some, quality young men that are eager to work. We have young women there that are also there to pull their weight. It's an awesome atmosphere in our fire department, and from stories I've heard from the past, I'd put our fire department up to any of the ones from the past. And just where it's at, the positive atmosphere is awesome, and it's due to a lot of your leadership. So we appreciate you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
And thank you guys. Continue the good work. All right. So no more discussion. Call the roll.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Tim.
Next is Judge's Report. Just a few announcements. 2020's Unity March and service will be Monday, January the 20th at 5 p.m. Participants will gather at the First Baptist Church on the corner of Francis and Collins Street at 4:45 p.m. and march to the Madison County Courthouse, then back to the church for a special service at 6 p.m. The Richmond Area Arts Council is hosting an Evening of Elegance art exhibit celebrating African American musicians and visual artists from the Bluegrass State past and present. This will be Saturday, January 25th from 5 until 8:30 p.m. at the Richmond Area Arts Council at the corner of Lancaster Avenue and Water Street in Richmond. For more information or to purchase required tickets, please contact the Richmond Area Arts Council. Madison County is proud to welcome back the All-A Classic basketball tournament to EKU's Alumni Coliseum January 22nd through January 26th. If you would like to volunteer during one of the county's signature events, please contact Richmond Tourism. And also just be mindful when the All-A Classic is here, it puts a lot more traffic around town in Richmond. So maybe be mindful of that during those times, January 22nd through January 26th, that if you're not going to the game or whatever and you want to go around that, maybe choose another path to sort of stay off the what I call the old EKU bypass. Richmond Chamber of Commerce annual kickoff gala will be Monday, January 27th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Eastern Kentucky University's Perkins Building. To register your business or more information, please contact Richmond Chamber of Commerce. And last but not least, the Madison County Courthouse and its related offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th for Martin Luther King holiday. Offices will reopen on Tuesday, January 21st at 8 a.m. Guys, last thing I want to make mention to you guys is that I'm really excited for a new year. I'm really excited for 2020, a new decade. We've had a tough 2019, and I would not have chosen to go through that with anybody than this group of elected officials. Our colleagues, Colleen, our staff. Man, we've had some serious growing pains the last 6 months, but I'm proud of where we're at. I know we're having to make tough decisions, Sheriff. If for your department, we're having to make tough decisions. In the road department, we're having to make tough decisions really since we started in 2015 with the budgets that we've presented, the savings that we've implemented. And man, I'm proud. I'm proud to be a Madison Countian. I'm proud to be in this seat today. As long as the good Lord puts me here, I'm going to serve with pride. I'm going to serve with honor. And I'm glad y'all are sitting here with me. And I wish Larry was here today because this is a new day for Madison County. And it starts with a new decade in 2020. And I'm proud. I really am. And I thank you for each and every one of y'all's leadership. Kenny, Steve, I wish Jenny was here, but Brooke, proud of you. Randy was here. There's a lot of good things going on. And I would encourage citizens to do your civic duty and get involved just a little bit. Just know a little bit and understand government and how it works. But thank you to the staff, team, It's great. It's awesome. You're awesome people. Keep working hard, because great things are coming. So, thanks. Next is comments from magistrate. Tom?
I've been pretty long-winded today, Judge. But
That's a
I would
first.
just ditto what you've said there. We do have good people that work for us. It's not every day, but I call down to the road department a lot and ask for somebody to help us do something. There's a sign that's been run over. There's lots of problems. There's a mattress that's thrown out. Simple things that I know they're busy, and I know they don't want to hear from me. But yet, the next time I drive through that area, it's gone. And the same thing with the sheriff's department. There'll be intersections where we've had wrecks on top of wrecks. There's an intersection that we had 3 wrecks in the same weekend. I'm talking about serious wrecks. And I called over to the sheriff's office and asked them for some data so I could get up with our state representative and try to get something done about it. And I go over there and pick it up, and they've got it ready for me. That's additional work. They're not paid to do that. But I certainly appreciate your support in doing that. And of course, the jail, what can you say about the jail? That's just I'm glad that you have that headache, because mine's about to bust over it. But, we are growing. I just recently went on a trip over the holiday down to see my son down in North Carolina. And we went from there over to see my mother-in-law just south of Atlanta. And we covered a lot of country, a lot of the country roads through there. And I can tell you that Madison County is in really good shape compared to a lot of rural places that we've been through. And so I am thankful to be from here. Appreciate your comments.
Thanks, Tom. John?
Judge, I just want to kind of reiterate what we've said about Sheriff Coyle, what a great department he runs over there. Couldn't say enough good things about him. What a good job Jailer Tussey's doing over at the jail with the funds that we have. Roger and I met with Sheriff Coyle, and he was willing to cut his budget $300,000. The sheriff's budget is not the only budget in the departments have been cut. Every department budget is being reduced this year, and we're taking a lick. I appreciate Rachel and Glenn and Bert and Chris sitting there, their departments, what all they do with them, the road department down there. Guys, we're working hard to do more with less, and it's hard to do. At some point, we're going to need some help from the citizens to see that, look, we can't keep on operating on less than what we can operate on. And it's been a tough year for everybody. I appreciate what everybody's done. I look forward to a good new year, but I can't say enough about what our department heads and our employees, all of our employees. Tim's sitting back there at the fire department. I mean, running a great ship over there. Appreciate each and every one of you all. Dustin there with the CSEP. Look forward to working with you through the next year and building Madison County to be a better Madison County, and Happy New Year.
Thanks, John. Raj?
Well, I appreciate all the different departments that we have as well, but I want to call out Tim and Willie and Scott. We get mud at the ferry when the floods come, and it has to be cleaned off, and I appreciate your all's response when we call to try to come and help us out when you can. I know, like when I call Willie and the backhoes on the other side of the county, I know you can't get there, but when they can do it, they do it. Yeah. And Tim's been good about getting it washed off. Sometimes it takes the backhoe to push it off, but that's just part of it. I mean, that's just part of the county's obligation for the ferry, and I appreciate everything that you all do and when you can do it. But I appreciate working with all you all, the colleagues. It's a great court. We get along good. I've never been on this court like it is now, where the politics doesn't make that much difference. We talk good and bad about both sides, and that's the way it should be. I mean, John O'Var's been as good to me as Tom has. Republican, Democrat, doesn't make a difference. And that's the way it should be, because we're here working for the county, not for each other.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Kenny?
Yeah, I've just been sitting here thinking, what I heard from when the sheriff was talking was that instead of putting deputies on the road, he has to choose to work with a state agency that he has zero control over, that forces him to haul prisoners back and forth across the state. They haven't looked to modernize. They haven't looked to look at their fee schedule. They have basically, this is from my opinion, not an expert opinion in any way, shape, or form, but they don't care. And what came to a head this year with the tax increase is, it's going to be a positive because people are now paying attention. And they're starting to understand a little more that the old saying is it rolls downhill and we're at the bottom. We don't get to decide what we want to do or what we should do like in private. We have to do what the law says. And that's what you guys are dealing with. It's what I deal with on a daily basis, what sheriff and jailer deal with. But if you want to make a difference and you want to help this county financially, talk to your representatives and your senator and tell them about what you think about AOC and how they do business and how they operate. Because there are a lot of improvements can be made there, and nobody's looking to make them, as far as I know. So please, like Reagan said, get involved. Be more involved so that we don't have, because we're not out of the woods here. We've still got challenges to face, and we're going to have more challenges. That's part of it. That's part of being in any organization. But get involved now so we can better handle those challenges in the future.
Thanks, Kenny.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Sheriff?
The only thing I'm going to say, Judge, is it's unfortunate that everything we do in our society, it's based on money. And, when people get out and serve and protect, like the fire department, EMS, our state police, Richmond, Berea, sheriff's office, Madison County has been very, very lucky to have the first responders that we've had and have today. Not long ago at a conference I was at, they were talking about law enforcement. I think the population of Kentucky was 4-point-something million, if I'm correct on that. And there was less than 8,000 police officers for the state. So Madison County is very lucky when it comes to law enforcement. But in our society today, with school shootings and church shootings and the divide that we have, we could have predicted that when they took the 10 Commandments down and threw them in the trash and forcing some things that's been forced upon us. But, there's probably no better time in our society than what we just talked about. People pulling together and staying together and bringing, our good Lord back into the picture, and our government's cleaning them up and getting them running. But it's not all about money. And, like public safety here, we're cut, but I can assure you that our people, we're going to keep going on. What we can do, we're going to do. But, I'm very proud to hold this position, as Kenny stated and the judge stated, and we're going to go forward. We're not going to go backwards. And I'm just proud to be a Madison County.
Thank you, Sheriff.
If you think we don't have a good group, and exactly what you said about fire chief, those people are not working there for the money. If people pay attention to this court and what the dollar amount they're getting paid, they could be working fast food, probably for more. They're not doing it. They want to be involved and they want to help, and they want to make our county and the world a better place. And you only have that when you've got leaders like Chief Gray that are helping that happen. I'm not saying anything more about Scott and Willie, Lord, they get it every week. I mean, every meeting.
They burn it up.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Steve?
I do, just a quick comment or two. First, I'd like to update people on the jail numbers in our accounts. This morning, actually, we have 396 in-house. We have 70 inmates out in other counties and 41 on home incarceration. Today, we're responsible for 506 inmates that belong to and are the responsibility of Madison County. A little bit of the sheriff's workload that I'd like to tell people about that you probably don't understand or know, and simply because you're not involved in something that Sheriff and I deal with daily. we've got 145 inmates, and I just looked at the court dockets this morning. We got 145 inmates this week that will be escorted from Madison County Jail and other jails throughout the state to our courthouses in Richmond. 145 inmates this week. It's a tremendous workload. We get as many of those into the jail as we can. They're transferred in from the sheriff and my staff that go all over and bring them back in for court. And then we'll get those inmates ready, and the sheriff's office will escort them to the respective courts. 145. I mean, just think about that. That's a tremendous number. That number goes up almost daily. Also in our jail count, we have gone up over 100 inmates since July. Since July, our jail count has gone up over 100. If that trend continues, I hope it doesn't. If that trend continues, we have tough decisions, and the court has made some tough decisions. Those decisions are going to get tougher. Yeah. But I think the court's been very supportive of the jail and my needs, and a huge thank you to the sheriff. We work together daily, our staff work together daily, and without that camaraderie, we would not get the job done.
Thanks, Steve. One of the things I want to maybe just speak on real quick is just a comparison. Steve sends emails to keep me updated on how many we have, just the stats that he gave you a minute ago. And I want to go back, and I want the community to realize how much of a moving target this is at the jail as far as the number of incarcerations. But on December the 27th, the in-house was 341. So he mentioned a minute ago that our in-house now is 396. So it was 341. HIC then was 44 to 41 now. Out of county was 75 then, now it's 70. So it's such a moving target of how many we have in, how many we have out. And in just a week's time, I mean, what is that? Gone up, 45 or so? Mm-hmm. Taylor, I'll let you do the math of all them numbers for your article, so make sure it's correct. But that's where it's at, and these numbers are we want to make sure that we get this information out to the public so that they understand that we're not making this stuff up, that it's real. So thanks guys, thanks for your leadership. And Brooke, you're good?
I don't have anything, Judge. I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I just don't want to leave you out.
I appreciate it.
Next is comments from department heads. Department heads, do we have anything? All right. Seeing none. Comments from audience. Anybody in the audience want to speak? Yes, sir. Guys, when you come up, if you don't care, just come up to the mic and just state your name, please, and where you live or address.
Good morning, gentlemen, Counselor.
Good morning.
First, let me just say I appreciate the work that you do on our behalf, most of the time without us even realizing what's going on. And today was a little bit of an eye-opener for me, and certainly want to thank you for all of that. I also know that you deal with numerous issues, probably on a daily basis, that we don't even know about.
What's your name, sir?
And I'm Baker, 140 General Nelson in the battlefield. And I'm here today to comment on one of those issues, and that is the flooding that's taking place in the battlefield. My wife Barbara is handing out a presentation that I would have been glad to give, but this is probably a lot more time-saving for you. My wife and I have lived here since 2011, and during that time, we were in and out of that development as many as 6 to 10 times a day, at different times of the day and different days of the week. We never witnessed any of the flooding that we experienced here this past month. We'd been living in a rental in the same area until 2016, when we bought this property at 140 General Nelson. Behind us, there's a creek or a tributary. I just call it a drainage ditch. Prior to 2019, we would observe that creek would overflow its banks every now and then. No big deal. The water would quickly recede. Sometimes it would come up over the bank into our yard. Again, the water would recede. In May and July of 2018, the water came all the way up to our deck. That was about 18 feet off of our house and a foundation. But again, that water receded, and we weren't too worried about it. We thought, okay, this happens. In July of 2019, the creek overflowed again, this time right up to our foundation, and we took in about 6 inches of water in our crawl space. Also, at that time, the storm drains out in the street were so overwhelmed that water was literally flowing down there like a creek, a small creek. At one point, it was actually gushing up out of the drain because it didn't seem to be going anywhere else. It had nowhere else to go. Before the storm ended, the water had backed up in the creek, that's behind us, and was overflowing out across someone's property and out across the street. We had one more similar event on December 16th, but that did not prepare us for what came on December 29th. That rain started early in the day, but wasn't very heavy. However, by 4:30 in the afternoon, we already had water in our crawl space. And by 10:30 that night, water was gushing from the creek into the side yards between my house and my neighbor, the other side, and all the way over to one of the other neighbors. By 5:30 a.m. in the morning the next day, the water had receded to about halfway out of our backyard. By 7 o'clock a.m., the creek was finally back to what we call normal, not too much water flowing through there. I got to thinking about all this, what was going on, what happened between the time we moved in that house and then those next couple of years. So during the last 2 floods, I went out to the creek and to the upper retention pond that's on the other side of the road to observe what was going on with the water level. I have photos in this handout that I gave you that you can refer to. What I observed was that the water level prior to the flood at the creek was very low, just trickling down through there, the way it does most of the summer. But at the other end, where the pipes went into the pond, into the upper pond there, the level was already more than halfway up the pipe. And again, there's a picture of that, and we'll talk about the consequence of that. After the December 29th flood, I went out the next morning around 8:50 a.m. to check the water levels again. The pipes in the pond were completely covered, couldn't even see them, gone. In fact, the upper pond had nearly overflowed the second pond that was down there. Again, there's a picture in there for you to examine. Based on my observations, I believe that the flooding issue is due to the upper retention pond not draining fast enough. Once those 2 pipes are filled from the pond up to the creek, now they're essentially one body of water. And the water has nowhere to go, so what happens is it goes up and over and out across the yards. You commissioned a hydrologic study of the area a little while ago. All I'll say about that is the study contains 10 color FEMA images that some of them we were able to just pull off the net ourselves. But what it doesn't seem to contain, from what I could see, is any data to support a $500,000, let alone a $2 million project based on their study. The presentation I gave you, I have some thoughts and remedies in there that you might want to consider. Another related issue is that sinkhole over there. It was fixed once, but it seems to have failed again. The first time I was over there and watched the work that was going on. When they got down there to where the pipes were, there was about 8 to 10 inches where the 2 pipes had settled from the other pipes. That must have happened again, because what's causing that sinkhole, it looks as if the pipe settled again. Now when the water comes gushing through there, it's carrying the soil with it, and boom. And then the sides start to cave in. At the same time, I was out there, and I have a picture, I didn't put it in there. I also have a picture of where the water is gushing up next to where the pipes were. The pipes weren't exposed at that point, but I know right where they were. And so here's this water coming up out of the ground, and my only thought is that's probably coming from the storm drain somehow, that it's not going to where it's supposed to be. Finally, we were told that the flooding issue was turned over to a state mitigator. Well, we didn't know what that meant. So my wife called that office and found out that they're not going to fix the flooding issue. That's not their job. Rather, they work with federal money for the acquisition of distressed properties due to flooding. However, none of us would qualify for that. Because first of all, there are two criteria you have to meet. One is you had to have had flood insurance at the time the event occurred. And second, you had to have sustained severe damage to your house, i.e. the water actually had to come up into your house, damage the floor, the walls, and so on and so forth. In any event, we don't want to sell our home. We live here, our kids went to school here, they're still going up to UK. We want the problem fixed. And I don't believe that the county selling off the golf course absolves the county from being responsible for a pre-existing condition. In conclusion, I believe that the flooding problem can be fixed as I put forth in my presentation there. Thank you for allowing me this time.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Doug Wyatt. I live at 134 General Nelson Drive. Of all the homes that have been affected by the flood, we've had massive devastation. Our entire basement, which is a walkout finished basement with a kitchen, a bathroom, 2 bedrooms, a study, an office, and a family room, all has been completely destroyed. I now have a dumpster in front of my house where we've hired people to carry all of our destroyed belongings up and thrown in the dumpster. I represent not only myself and my wife and my family as living there, but I also represent the owner of the house. It's my company. They allowed my wife and I to pick where we would live when I became an employee of the company. We looked all over Madison County. This wasn't a haphazard decision. This wasn't something we were going to just go spend over $200,000 in a whim like that. We had to make a decision that was responsible. We looked all over. We looked for a clean, safe, comfortable place. We tried to make a decision in a way that we thought would be smart and give equity in the company, that when we ever ended our responsibilities, that they'd be able to sell that home and that they would receive more than what they purchased for it. We also had the understanding when we purchased it that we would finish the entire basement. The company dumped in over $30,000 to finish the entire basement, put all the furnishings in. And we did that, and we added all of the areas I just said that are in our basement. The first 4 years we lived there, we lived safe and comfortable. We weren't concerned about anything. Then in February, our nightmare began. And our nightmare has continued. 5 floods. Every flood, all 5 of those, all of them entered our home, and our entire basement was covered with water all 5 times. There have been other times since February that water has come up to our porch, has come up, as Mr. Whitaker has suggested, that we've stood at the door and prayed to God, please don't let it come in. We've used the box that was sent to us, thankfully, about the emergency evacuation that we're to tape around our doors, and hide in. We use that, and sandbags. We've purchased sandbags. We've done everything we could imagine to keep this from coming in. In February, after that, we were advised that there would be mold behind all of our walls, so we tore out the drywall 4 feet up, removed all of our baseboard. Our hardwood floors were completely destroyed. We had to have them hauled out, and we replaced all of that, thinking that this was a once-in-a-lifetime thing in February. That's what a flood is. A flood through FEMA is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's not a 5 in less than 1 year thing. It's this happened, now we're done, let's move on, and let's make the best of our life. But that didn't happen, although we did have to replace our entire HVAC, our riding lawnmower, our flooring, our baseboard, our drywall, our furniture, had to have the whole thing painted. That was in February and March. not knowing that I would have 4 more incidents, that it would all be destroyed again and again and again and again and again. Our possessions included family heirlooms that are not replaceable. If I had insurance, I could not get them back. My grandmother's items, my mother and father's items, my wife's grandparents' items, my wife's mother's and father's items, who are now gone, and we were able to have those. My father's library, my father-in-law's library, paintings, furniture, heirlooms, and the list goes on and on. Our possessions include clothes that were damaged, dressers, beds, desks, chairs, leather sectionals, recliners, cabinets, bookshelves, rugs, paintings, photos, end tables, and the list goes on and on. Then the next flood, the next flood, the next flood, and then this last flood was even more devastating than the other 4. Mr. Bodkin, you are aware, I know, and I'm grateful you show up and give us a little sympathy and watch it all float away. We have this dumpster, and now it's the embarrassment of our neighborhood that we would have a dumpster in front of our house throwing away all of these items. We will need to replace again all the drywall, all the baseboard, some of our flooring, all of our furniture, all of our rugs, all of our wall hangings, beds, vanity, shelves. I hope you're getting tired of hearing me talk right now. But this is what we live through every single time. This is our now normal. That should not be anyone's normal. We should be comfortable. We should be citizens that volunteer in Madison County instead of needing volunteers to help us. We're hiring this out. In case you haven't understood, we're also afraid of our electricity. We walk down there frantically unplugging everything. I'm worried because our electric and our phone line, everything, the flood is so high it goes over the top of all of our utilities. And I've wondered, I even asked, where are our utilities at? Making sure that I'm not going to get electrocuted out here. In case you haven't wondered, I have a lot more I could say. Because you don't live where I live. You haven't walked through my devastation. You haven't 7 times to mop something, to get a shop vac, to hire people in. We're now moving everything we have to our top floor, and everything we can't move, we've had to buy items that are 4 feet or higher to stack all of our tubs, all of our rugs, everything up 4 feet. So the next time it comes, because I don't see anything in sight soon to resolve it, that I'm going to be able to mop and get it all out. This is what you need to understand today. This is not anything we have done. This is something completely out of our control. If you had told us when we were moving there that you were not going to take care of our problems, we would have never moved there. I have a document that states we're not in the floodplain. This is not my responsibility. I call on you in the county to only take responsibility as you've admitted to in one of your meetings. But act on this and solve the problem. I cannot live like this. It's been 11 months of every time I have to leave town for my business that I get a call from one of our neighbors, we think it's coming again. And we have to call people, have them go over. We cannot live like this. Please do the right thing. Please do the hard thing. Please do the responsible thing. Take care of this now, not later. Don't make this community wait a year, or 2, or 3 years. There's things that can be done. I appreciate that we started today with prayer, and thank you for your prayer. And I thank you, Sheriff, that you mentioned let's bring the Lord back in everything. I want you to know our family is God honoring. We've been praying for you that you will make decisions. We've been praying that we would have the right attitude. It's not been easy. We've been told the only way action's going to happen is if we take other actions to force action to happen. This is not about money. I'm not trying to become a millionaire. Please understand that. That's not me. I just want it made right, and I feel like I owe to my company that their home now is worth $100,000 less than when they bought it. And they lost everything that they dumped into the basement. They've lost everything they've already replaced, and now they're going to lose everything again. I am praying that you all will do the right thing. This has got to be solved. A neighborhood in Madison County that we're proud of, we should be proud of it. And we don't need a black eye, because there's an upstanding community just down the street that is living through hell right now. This is painful. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good morning. My name's John Johnson. You've heard from some of my neighbors already. I live at 138 General Nelson. I know that this has been a topic of conversation throughout our neighborhood since February. Also, I know that Mr. Bakken, I've called him several times. He's helped tremendously. I really appreciate that, Mr. Bakken. Thank you for taking our calls and stuff. Judge Taylor, I've even contacted you. You've taken my calls too. So when you say, hey, go ahead and call me on my cell phone, you're absolutely correct, sir. Thank you very much for doing that. One thing I wanted to do a little bit of research before I actually came before the court this morning. And, you know, I'm a concerned constituent just like my neighbors, and I wouldn't want what we've been through to happen to anybody. You never know when it's going to rain, a large rain event, but it doesn't really seem to take a large rain event to make this stream or creek or ditch, you know, raise up in a hurry, and it's already in our basement, it's in our crawl space. Not sure, the last flood event that we had on December 29th, the water was so high that it ran between my house and Mr. Whitaker's house, and it was only 3 feet from my AC unit, and I went out to check, and I didn't really have to worry about the AC unit because it was run between our houses into the street. So it found its way that high. So I did a little research, and I went back to the July 23rd fiscal court meeting, and I started watching that video, and I think, okay, I thought they said they were going to take care of this for us. So at 46 minutes and 57 seconds, Judge Taylor, you commented, and I quote, I think that it's really important that we look into this and get this fixed, not only for us on the golf course, but even for those residents that are right there, end quote. So I'm still watching the video, and I think, okay, great comment, Judge Taylor. Thank you very much, sir. So I get to the 50-minute and 8-second mark, and Judge Taylor again, quote, Judge Taylor makes a comment, quote, it is our golf course. It is really our responsibility. It is our infrastructure. I mean, that's our pipes, end quote. So at that point in time, I'm thinking, okay, Judge Taylor, he's going to take care of this for us. The court's going to take care of this for us. The road department's going to fix the piping, make sure the drainage is correct. Because really, I think that's all the issue is. The creek is so much debris in that small creek that there's no room for the water, just to be honest with you. I don't know, Mr. Bakken, if you've been out there in the last few weeks or something to look at that, but the creek just needs to be cleaned out possibly. But the drainage tubes, and Mr. Whitaker commented, he's been down to the other pond, seen how full that pond has become. There are some other drainage issues there. The hydraulic study that you had done, Judge, and the court had approved, it didn't really provide any information or any solutions other than, hey, maybe you need to go to FEMA and let them buy your home. I don't want to do that. I'm like you all. I'm proud to be a Madison County resident. I do want to do civic duty. I do want to jump in and help out. I even sat here and did not even know that the sheriff's budget was getting cut like that. That's heartbreaking to think that our county would be in that position. But we also have other things we need to take care of too. We're all constituents. All of you are. I am. My family is. I just want to get a status update from the court and find out, where are we at on getting this fixed for these constituents that are affected there? Can anyone help me answer that question?
I think we're gonna have our time to talk once everybody, that's from Battlefield Estates is done speaking.
Okay.
And we'll have our time to answer those questions.
Okay.
Dustin's prepared to make a few things of where we are today.
Okay.
And then I'll also wanna maybe try something at the next meeting. And I'll make a few comments as well. So, anybody else have
I
anything?
want to thank the court for their time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I think we get your point. I mean, I'll be glad to hear from each and every one of you. And so if you want to say a few words too, you can. Just come up and state your name, where you live.
I'm June Denton. I live at 136 General Nelson Drive. I've lost my AC. I've had to replace it, $7,000. January the 1st, I had to move it because it was covered. Had to pay $800 to move it to the side of the house and do without heat all through all this. I have a sick husband. He's on 9.5 hours of dialysis. We can't afford to do all this, and I can't do it by myself. And I went to the road department in February and talked to Scott, and he came out and tried to figure out what was going on. I've called everybody, and I've done everything, and we've got a beautiful home. We bought it to live in that neighborhood. My husband was a great golfer. He can't golf anymore, but we love that place. And I put it up for sale. I can't sell it because nobody's going to buy a house that's flooded. So we've had it on the market, had to take it off in December. And I'm just praying that y'all do something and get it cleared up. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Hall, and I live at 144 General Nelson Drive. I have put together a few documents, if it'd be okay that I pass out to the court.
If you have an extra, I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Thank you.
This pertains to my property only, not the neighbors.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I would like to briefly state, being here at the meeting today and being a lifelong Madison Countian, I've lived out of the state for a while, but I've born and I was raised here in our community. I was raised up on Rose Lane, which is 2 streets over from the Battlefield Golf Course or Battlefield Estates. You know, one thing that binds us Madison Countians together, whether you're lifelong or whether you've moved here, is we all have a particular thing, and it's called grit. We all have grit. I have been from Hamilton, Ohio to Graham, North Carolina, and I choose to buy my home in Madison County. My husband works in North Carolina. He works an 8-hour plus day on Friday all week long, and he makes a 7.5-hour, 8-hour drive, depending on wrecks, depending on construction, from Graham, North Carolina, actually Burlington, North Carolina, where he works, home. He drives that every Sunday back home. When we get a rain event, he is stressed out just because he's not here. We choose this life because we need good jobs. You know, that's one thing that I feel like is missing from the discussion here. We need good jobs. We can look toward Georgetown. They have Toyota. Wow, look what their university has done for their children. We need jobs. I think the focus needs to be jobs, Judge Taylor. A lot of these problems, these budget issues that the sheriff's dealing with, if we had more residents move into the county with good jobs, we would see more income in this county. Under the Trump administration, I feel like we have a good economy. Now is the time to get those jobs. But furthermore, that's my comment on the community, and I do appreciate each and every one of you that do care for the residents of this community. In my packet, I have a copy of the hydraulic study in case anyone doesn't have it or is not familiar with it. I also have a floodplain map, and if you would be so kind as to look at 144, you will see, according to this, I'm not in a flood zone. But this map is important because of the geological lay and the pictures. And if you would go with me through these pictures. The first picture is a backyard.
Hey, Ms. Hall, would you, real quick, would you tell me your address again, please?
144, and on the map, it's where it says panel, and it has effective 12/21/2017. I'm kind of hid on the map.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. This first picture is a picture of our backyard. For those that doesn't know, on the top of the hill is our property line. There is a ditch there that is for overflow for the Battlefield Golf Course. This water in my backyard that you're seeing is the overflow from the backup of the ditch. Okay? So the ditch is full. It's so full that's coming down and running in our backyards. Okay? The next picture is my side yard. And what this picture shows is from the back and the side. You'll notice that my side yard is flooded. You'll notice the property at the golf course behind it is flooded. You'll notice across the branch on the golf course, it's flooded. There are 2 pipes just past that swing set, and I don't feel like those pipes are enough to carry that water, sir. The third picture is after a flood event. This is the water in our crawl space. And it on trend now, this year, since February, it's 2 blocks high, 5 times. It's not reached my hardwood floors yet, but the track we're going, I fear at the end of winter, by spring, it will have reached the inside of my house. I beg you to please help us with this problem before it gets worse. We have a neighbor who spoke very well that has already suffered great loss and damage and is going through that. And I voice out today because it's coming to my house. I'm 2 blocks high. I'm not in a flood zone. I'm not in a flood zone. I have a letter from my insurance agent that is also in this packet. I can't get flood insurance, Judge Taylor. I'm not covered under this. We need help. I beg this court for help. The other picture you will see are a picture of the 2 pipes and a general lay of my property, the way the backyard is and goes up the top of the hill. All of this floods. It floods so bad that it runs out in the street, so deep that it goes over the street. And then, of course, the sinkhole that we have to deal with. You know, it's to my understanding whether it's pipes have failed or not. Flooding causes sinkholes. So we have a real issue. And I think that the hydraulic states that. Any help that you could do, we would appreciate it. We really would. We're in trouble, guys. We're in trouble, and we need your help. We work hard. We take pride in our homes. You know, it's Battlefield Estates, but it's my home. It's more than just that one neighborhood. It's a whole community. Our community needs the golf course. It needs our subdivision. We may risking losing the depot. We need something to replace that. We cannot destroy this neighborhood. It means too much to too many people, and I appreciate your time in hearing us today.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. Dustin, if you will, come up and just give us a kind of an overview of where we're at with Kentucky EMA, sort of maybe give an overview of, I mean, I guess this process with flooding and how government has programs in place, and there's a process to go through to see how we fix it.
You bet. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Dustin Heiser. I'm the Madison County Emergency Management Director and the CSEP Director. So with this, obviously this county saw severe flooding in February of 2019, and with that we were provided a presidential declaration of emergency based on public assistance. So that's road damage and stuff of that nature. We did not qualify in that situation for individual assistance, which is the assistance that goes to, obviously, homeowners, individuals. And that is due to, and please, I'm very sympathetic to your situation and understand. So when I say this, please take it in the context. We did not see the necessary damage across the county in order to qualify that. And then on top of the county, we did not qualify from a state aspect. So our declaration, if the judge signs a declaration of emergency, which he did for the February floods, it goes up to Kentucky Emergency Management. They come down with our office and do damage assessments and things of that, what's called a preliminary damage assessment. They did that. And we look at both public challenges and individual challenges. And based on that situation, we did not qualify for individual assistance in that February flood. And in the subsequent floods, as we've been tracking with the dates that the folks have talked about, again, we have not reached the necessary thresholds to even declare a local emergency. On top of that, a state emergency to get federal assistance. So that's where we're at on that part of it. I think it was stated that we had spoken with the state mitigation officer. That is true. We're working with the state mitigation officer. It is not their responsibility to fix the event, right? They are a intermediate office that the local works with, and we work through to the federal government to see what potential assistance is out there. Acquisition of homes is not the only potential assistance that can be provided through hazard mitigation. There are two other things that we can look at. One of those is elevation of homes above the base flood elevation, which is basically that level at which the water gets up to the first floor of the living space. The second potential mitigation effort that can be done is on the public assistance side and looking at how we handle the drainage. And we had a meeting with the state mitigation officer and our regional manager from Kentucky Emergency Management, the judge and myself today to look at what is next in that process. The challenge is, and I think the state, Jeannie Joe, who's the state mitigation officer, spoke with one of you. The challenge that arises there is this is not a quick process, and I'm sympathetic to, the situation. We are tracking that we could see significant rains by the end of this week. Our office is fully aware of that. So I know this is not a today fix. So that's where emergency management's at. Judge, if you have any more questions for me, I'll stay right here.
I think it's good to have that. I think it's good to have that update.
Yeah.
And I want to go back on the timeline because I want to make sure that whoever's watching on TV and the others that are in the room that know that, we have done some things as a court. I think some of that paints a little bit of a picture that, we haven't done things. We did vote back in July to do a hydraulic study, and I did say those things. So I'm not going to deny it. And at the time, my experience or my thought process was that hey, it might be our problem. We are sympathetic to you guys and the situation that you're in, and we are wanting to help. But I also have laws that I have to follow, and I have tax dollars that I have to spend, and I got to make sure that we do it properly. We did get a hydraulic study done, and we paid for it. I think Gary Vanderhoff, our director of parks and our golf course, had contacted you guys to actually set up a meeting at my office. Several of you that spoke today were in that meeting. And when we left that meeting, we presented this, and our plan moving forward was we were going to continue to try to figure out what to do, but at the same time that we didn't 100% know if it was really our responsibility. If we don't control the weather, we don't control how much it rains at one time. Floodplains change all the time. Year after year, these flood areas change. The areas change. Several that have been affected by this either have or still have today flood insurance. One family, and I can't remember who it was, paid that was in the flood zone and paid for a special survey. They told us that night. Paid for a special survey that said his finished floor elevation which is what Dustin referred to a minute ago, which is the FEMA laws, you know, or their rules they follow, that his finished floor elevation was on a crawl space, was not in the flood zone. Now, that doesn't mean that below that, in a crawl space, might be in a flood zone. And so, you know, we are, continuing to try to figure this out. I do take your phone calls. I am sympathetic. If you've tried to call me, I've gotten back with you. Some have made it a situation where we've gotten attorney letters, you know, and from legal guidance. When we get a attorney letter, that's a lawsuit, that's a threat. We have to sort of step back and say, hey, there's attorneys involved now. Attorneys got to work it out. You know, I'm going to continue to try to move forward and see what we as a government by law can do and can't do. We've had conversations with our professional certified engineers that we hired to do these hydraulic studies, to have programs. If you want to see how they came up with their PowerPoint, I'm sure we could figure out how their model that they bring together could show you what these numbers are. I got a email the other day about the spillway. Mr. Whitaker, I think you were referring to maybe lowering the level of the pond below the pipes and lowering the spillway on the upper pond so that it ultimately would run across the golf course and down to the lower pond. That was an idea you had, correct, sir? All right, so Duke, which is our engineer, actually, we thought the same thing. We thought, hey, that'd be an inexpensive potential way that we could maybe help, right, in this. I revised, I'm just going to read the email, all right? I revised the calculations to incorporate adding an emergency spillway to the upper pond at an elevation below the existing two 36-inch pipes under General Nelson Drive. Based on the results, the added spillway would have very little effect on the houses upstream from the existing two 36-inch pipes flooding. There's a slight increase in discharge from the pipes, but compared to the overall discharge, not significant. The main problem is the existing two 36-inch pipes are way undersized, and the calculations show floodwater running over General Nelson Drive just over a 2-year, 24-hour storm event. Now, I don't know what kind of rains that they're working on right now, because many of you all have stated that this has never happened until 2019. So I've got the engineers right now going back and looking at previous years and see if we've had the same type rainfalls in previous years that we've had in 2019. I don't like speculation. I don't like to say, hey, this has never happened before, unless it's based off facts. So we're continuing to work towards trying to figure out a solution. If our meeting today that we have, I think it's at 12 o'clock, I believe. I'm going out of town, so I'm on a, what? Correct. Yep. It's at 12 o'clock. I'm actually going to be on the phone because I'm traveling to D.C. this afternoon. And so I'm going to be having a conference call with them on the way to the airport so that we can try. I would like, because it's obviously this is public, I would like, and I would invite every one of you back to our January the 28th meeting and at 9:30 in the fiscal courtroom, and I'm going to have Jackson Group and their engineers be there to put this presentation out there, to have an open dialogue. And I thought we did that in our court, in our conference room. You know, that we left there, that our job was going to be to make sure that the pipes, that the golf course maintenance staff was going to be there to make sure that those pipes weren't covered up, that we kept debris away from them. And I think the next event after that we were blamed that we weren't doing our job. Well, we've made sure that those pipes aren't covered up. In a major storm event, if a mattress floats in from upstream and covers them up during that event, I mean, we can't fix that. The pipes, we've partnered with Richmond Utilities. We've cambered the pipe where the sinkhole is. There's no obstructions. Yes, that joint has broken, but if a garden hose gets a slice in it, that doesn't mean it's stopped up at the other end. That just means that the pressure of the water is made a break and it's pushing out. And we've got that footage on a disc that we're going to send actually to the engineers and continue to try to figure it out. The next step would be to get Division of Water involved. Say, hey, is there anything here that is a change in weather patterns? Is there anything change in watershed and see even if there's a potential other funding. You know, and I don't want the picture to be painted that we're just not doing anything. And I am sympathetic for those that say you're not in a flood zone. But I've got engineers, I mean, even Ms. Hall gave us a picture of the flood zone that shows houses in that flood zone. And I don't know, we can maybe help you with flood insurance or help you contact, say, why can they not get flood insurance if they're in the flood zone? And it's the finished floor elevation. Sir, you know, I don't know why that your people say you can't get flood insurance.
No, I am working on getting flood insurance.
I mean, you are the only one on a basement.
Right.
And you're the only one that it actually gets in your finished floor elevation.
Right.
You know, and these maps show it's in a flood zone. You know, again, I am sympathetic, but I have laws and I have rules to follow, and I have to make sure that we're not going to get ourselves in trouble as elected officials. And so again, I'm going to move forward now unless Masters have any comments. But I am going to have Jackson Group at the next meeting. Anybody that's not here, that's from Battlefield Estates that's having this problem, I would encourage you to let your neighbors know that we're going to publicly present this. Maybe by then, we can also find out what happens at our meeting today, and then also maybe see if we can't schedule something with the Division of Water in the meantime to go ahead and try to figure out how we deal with the situation. So, yes, sir. One last one. Yes, sir. That's good.
Comment, since you were addressing me directly about the pond.
Well, it was your idea. That's the only thing I was referring to. Yeah.
He's got to come to the mic, or this is
Okay.
not going out, and it's not going to be in the minutes.
Thank you, Clerk Barger.
Sure.
Bob Whitaker again. Computer models are great, but as I was down there at the pond looking at this, and Tom's actually the one that gave me the idea of what might happen, because he mentioned that a year or 2 years before, they had to do something in that upper pond to release the water, let it move out of there. But I was looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, I'm standing here looking at the pipes right after the flood, and you can see the sedimentation. It's up over to the top of the water. And all the years I've lived there, I've not seen them do any kind of dredging down there. And one of the things I was thinking is, as that pond fills up with sediment, flows down that stream constantly every time there's a flood, the actual volume of water that the pond can hold is decreasing. Now, did the engineers look at something like that? Maybe they should consider that. But I still think it's not on the upside, it's on that downside. That pond is not releasing that water fast enough for the water to drain down through there, whether the pipes are complete or just a little partially broken. Thanks.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate those comments. Water is always going to flow downhill. Always, right? It's never going to go uphill. And they do take that stuff into consideration. I mean, I have an elevation sheet right here of the inlets and outlets of those pipes and how far that pipe slopes from inlet to outlet. Then I also have the elevations of the spillway at the dam of the first pond, and also the emergency spillway elevations. And those elevations at the upper pond is 963.72. At the lower, the outlet of that pipe is 955.41. So that's over 8 feet of fall from one end to the other. And water's level, and water always flows downhill. And part of the issue, I think, in these models that they showed was due to those storm events that those pipes are not big enough to carry that area, and that's why it's also in the flood zone. I mean, so, all right. Anything else? Comments from magistrates?
I was just curious, just for information, do you have the information that tells what amount of rain it takes for a certain flood event? Do you have that with you?
I do not. I've got it written down. It's at the office. I know the hydrologists talk about the different inches per year event.
Yeah, we wrote that. We actually were on a conference call the other day and actually asked that question. So good question, Tom. Because a lot of times they say 1 year event or 2 year event, which is in our PowerPoint, and a lot of times that doesn't register to people what type inch of rain that is, per event. And so we actually did have that, and you even asked a question that they didn't even have the answer of. It was like a 500-year event, right?
Yeah.
I think, and so
FEMA looks at 100 years and 500-year events when they look at that stuff. So we'll definitely have that for the next court.
All right, Judge, I'd just like to say I'm very sympathetic with the homeowners out there. I understand what kind of problem you're going through, and just be patient with you. I'm not perfectly clear with the situation out there, but I intend to drive out there during a dry season or a fairly dry day and then go back when the flooding is occurring and try to see for myself what maybe possibly can be done about it and what the excess water, where it's coming from and where it needs to go. I'm not an engineer, but I'm an old country boy. I kind of know how to channel water downhill and make it, but maybe we need to increase the size of the culverts out there, the 3-inch tile, or maybe put a larger one in some way and get that water out there quicker or something. And there might be a problem at the lower end slowing it down. So I do intend to go out there and look at it myself and see what I can come up with personally. We'll have to come back and turn it over to some engineers and let some professionals look at it and see what their resolution is to it. But we are sympathetic. We do care about you, and thank you for coming in today and sharing with us.
Well, I know, I just want to say this, Judge. I've been there when it's rained. I've been there when it's pouring. I've been there when the pictures that you handed me look just exactly like that. And I've been out there and waded through that to see if I could tell if there was any obstructions on that inlet to those two 30-inch, 6-inch pipes up there. And on the times that I could actually get to the pipe to see they were open. I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer is. I know that every time I drive through there and that road is water all over the road and it looks like a lake out behind your house, I'm praying for something to stop rain right now. Because I understand. I know what it's like. At least I don't know what it's like. Nobody can know what it's like to be in your shoes, Mr. White. But I can tell you that I feel for you. I do that. I know that don't make you feel any better about it, but I do sympathize with you. You've got a problem.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Anything else? Anybody else on a different topic that's here in the audience? Give everybody a chance to speak. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. I need a motion and a second to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Berger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Our next meeting will be January the 28th, 2020 at 9:30 in the morning. That will be in the Madison County Courthouse in Richmond. Again, January 28th, 2020. That will be in Richmond at 9:30. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Master Berger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Turn your mic off.
Colleen.